Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
This is awesome! Hello and welcome once again to another retro review for Cheap Shot Entertainment. I'm wearing my retro t-shirt, or should I say my John Cena t-shirt, but I really like it. It's a baseball tee and it was on the store ages and ages ago. John Cena's had some pretty decent t-shirts, and talking about decent t-shirts, the WrestleCrate t-shirt for the month of August is fantastic as well. Pineapple Pete, otherwise known as Sugar Dunkerton, big shout out to my man Sugar D. I like that guy, unlike Jericho. And speaking of Jericho, he is in this pay-per-view. Summerslam 2000, it took place on the 27th of August 2000, and it was the Raleigh Entertainment and Sports Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina that hosted the event. So at this point, the year 2000 is rolling on strong, and it's had very few bad points. Thong stinky face match removed. So yeah, opening hype packages for these pay-per-views have been absolutely fantastic, and we roll on with this one as well. Fantastic opening hype package, and I really miss the pyro to start the show. Gets people ready, gets, yes, pyro, indoor fireworks, woo! Because they're American and they like to start fires, apparently. Anyway, so opening pyro, really good as well, and of course, good old JR, who is now on the Rival brand, and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary, doing his best impression of a sex pest. So we get going in SummerSlam with a 6-man tag. It is Right to Censor versus Too Cool and Hose with Victoria. So Too Cool, obviously Rikishi, Grandmaster Sexay, Scotty 2 Hotty, Right to Censor, Stevie Richards, think it's Val Venus at this point, and The Good Father. It could have been Bull Buchanan, actually. Speaking of, it could have been Bull Buchanan. I think it might have been. Rikishi starts off this match by cleaning house of the Right to Censor. The fans are going wild because no one wants to censor the hose that include one of the best women's wrestlers to ever come out of the WWE. Victoria gets involved. She is the biggest story of this match, of course, with the Good Father being formerly known as the Godfather, going good apparently, but their music is still awesome. It got people to boo them. It was exactly what it needed to do on the tin. So yeah, the match breaks down really early. The crowd are absolutely lit for this one. That is what the kids are saying now, lit. It means good, just as a translation. Super kick steals the win for Stevie Richards as Scotty 2 Hotty goes for the worm, and the Right to Censor pick up the win. Against popular want and will, the Right to Censor pick up the win in the first match. Opening match, we get a rerun of Sunday Night Heat, when Sunday Night Heat was still a thing. Coach, basically, if you've never seen Sunday Night Heat, it was basically like the pre-show or the kick-off show as it is now. On Heat, Jonathan Coachman came back for a little bit, disappeared again, questions Kurt Angle on his integrity and his intentions regarding a married woman in Stephanie McMahon Helmsley. As Angle heads to Stephanie's locker room, we get a flashback to the kiss that rocked the world. Kurt Angle and Stephanie McMahon, she looked like she was enjoying it, and later on we do get a discussion between you and me that Kurt Angle is actually a pretty good kisser. Not that I want to know that, but sometimes the ladies, they like to talk about these things. He has an Olympic gold medal. He has 2 Olympic gold medals and is an Olympic gold medalist, Olympic champion, kisser as it were. And that's the intensity that Kurt Angle brings. Shane McMahon is now with Michael Cole, who is in the back, and this is way before he was let loose on commentary, who supports his sister in her decisions and whatever she wants to do. So we get a DX versus DX match next. Bit of a grudge match here. Road Dogg and X-Pac been having a back and forth in previous weeks before SummerSlam. One's got a win over the one, and then the other got a win over the other. A couple of tag team malfunctions in there as well, and it's all led down to this gentlemanly match, because you know wrestlers always have to settle their differences in the ring. The squared circle. I think I'm going to call it the squared circle from now on. Another quick match to get the party moving. It was won by a low blow from X-Pac. Both guys had their fair share of combat in this one. They had their fair share of comebacks in this one, but the crowd very much against X-Pac. That's what they call X-Pac heat, and they were very much behind the Road Dogg. So the low blow came behind the referee's back, and X Factor seals the victory for X-Pac. But X-Pac gets taken to the doghouse after the match because Road Dogg is not very happy that his friend would cheat to win. And he's not Eddie Guerrero, obviously. So he can't cheat to win. That is Eddie Guerrero's thing. So yeah, the last laugh definitely goes to the Road Dogg in this one. We'll get an intergender tag team match next. For the IC title, the Intercontinental title is on the line. It is China and Eddie Guerrero versus Val Venus and Trish Stratus. Like I said, I thought Venus was in the right centre. At this point, he was not. It was definitely Bull Buchanan in that first match. And Val Venus is still part of the stable led by Trish Stratus. So Val Venus gets taken out very early. Trish gets pinned by China. Again, not a very quick match, bit of a mismatch in fact. Gets pinned by China after a military press, and she becomes 2-time Intercontinental Champion. So Rikishi could not beat Val Venus, but China could. And you know, China's obviously a law unto herself. At this point she can kick the ass of the guys, but there's something that doesn't sit quite right with these quick matches. And you know, women should hold women's titles, and they've done it both ways. You know, some men have held the women's championship, starting with Harvey Whippleman, for example. But yeah, it's not great. But obviously, I can break the rules for China because she'd probably kick my ass as well. But China is the 2-time Intercontinental Champion. Eddie Guerrero's really happy about this. Obviously, Mamacita, Latino heat, and obviously Val Venus is a bit miffed at this and leaves Trish Stratus to fend for herself. I think this might be the point where he decides to join the right centre as a former gigolo. Anyway, we get a clip of Radio New York Radio WWF straight from WWE New York, from Radio WWF from WWF Times Square in New York. Yeah, like I said, Kurt is apparently a good kisser according to Stephanie and the wardrobe lady. Ask the questions there. So Jerry Lawler versus Taz next. This has been one that's been brewing as well. Taz has not been used very well since his debut in January of the year 2000, beating Kurt Angle, who was on a tear at the time. in his first match. He's now set his sights on Jerry the King Lawler, a geriatric at this point, who is at the commentary table, who at this point also still wore his singlet and his jacket. Yeah. So yeah, Jerry Lawler versus Taz goes back on a flashback. Obviously this is a very heated rivalry. Taz using the jar of sweets that's on the desk of the announce desk and smashing a car window with JR inside, cutting JR. It's time for some payback, and Jerry Lawler is stepping up. He is a good guy at this point, believe it or not. The guy who tried to make Bret Hart kiss his foot. WWE 2000, people! It's a world apart from that particular year, about 4 years, maybe 5. Anyway, yeah, 1995 was not a good year. Lawler starts out on the front foot. He knows that he's got to take this fight to Taz, being the professional, being the younger of the two, being the active professional rather, and the younger of the two, and the more aggressive. But Jerry Lawler can be aggressive. He has shown that in the past. Like I say, his feud with Bret Hart was very underrated, and gets the better of Lawler eventually, does Taz, and it's at this point where he puts Lawler in the Taz mission. Lawler refuses to tap out, but he does manage to get near the ropes, where JR picks up the sweet box and smashes it over Taz's head. He can see that he's visibly cut his hand as well, and the King pins Taz and buries him for the win. This might have well have been a buried alive match, because that is exactly what they did to Taz's WWE in-ring career. Did have a few more things to go at after this, but effectively after 8 months, yeah, that's what they did to Taz. And Shane, we go back to the back, and Shane is being chased to the ring by Steve Blackman. He is looking over his shoulder all the way through this pay-per-view. It is Steve Blackman versus Shane McMahon, the current Hardcore Champion, for the Hardcore Championship. And this, may I say, is the best thing they've ever done with Shane and with Steve Blackman, because Blackman went on to tag with Al Snow and became head cheese, which, by the way, you can get a head cheese from Blackpool Pleasure Beach in the Wallace and Gromit ride. You know, you can get a piece of cheese that you can wear on your head. Might buy one, might be funny. I won't buy one. So here's Shane McMahon versus Steve Blackman. This match is crazy. How do you describe a hardcore match in the year 2000? Kendo sticks, thumbtacks. Shane McMahon, obviously he's going to climb something and jump off it, or be pushed off it, or whatever. And they go straight into the crowd in this one. Shane tries to run away, Blackman goes round the other way, and they meet head on. Blackman beats him up for a little bit. Shane ends up being trashed in a bin, while Steve Blackman uses his little sticks and goes like nunchucks. And he is in full control, but we get to see now Test and Albert, who are not on the pay-per-view, but Trish was with Val Venus, so this is a way to get them shoehorned in, start beating up Steve Blackman and helping Shane to try and win. The action spills back into the aisleway after they battle back to the ring, and Shane McMahon starts to climb the scaffolding, and the Test and Albert get taken out by Blackman at this point. So he finds a way to get to the point where he can be on top of both of these guys. That sounds very wrong in a wrestling sense, and take the action to follow Shane up the scaffolding. I'm not quite sure why he ran up the scaffolding at this point, because he was in full control, but he did. And Blackman picks up the kendo sticks, follows him up the scaffolding, and continues to smash Shane over the back with the kendo stick. He does this thrice more times, and Shane eventually takes the tumble that was heard around the world, one that still remains on the "Don't Do This at Home, Kids" advert. Amazing fall, amazing bump in technical terms, and Blackman finishes him off with a elbow, I think, or it could have been a leg drop. I don't know. I think the leg drop was Kane at WrestleMania 17. I think that's right. Yeah, it was. We'll get on to that next year, 2021. Might be a better year than 2020. I don't know. Let's hope. Fingers crossed. All the way that it absolutely is. He becomes hardcore champion after giving Shane the elbow. Literally. 2 out of 3 falls match now between Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. Benoit takes the first fall nice and quickly with the crossface onto Y2J. He knows that he's got a good chance of coming back in this match, so he taps immediately. Obviously now Jericho is on the back foot and Chris Benoit is on the front foot, so Jericho has to get the pin or submission or count out in the next fall. So they start battling again. Benoit goes straight back to the crossface after Jericho has, had a little bit of time to recover, not loads, because obviously Chris Jericho is the face now, Chris Benoit is the heel. Obviously this is a bit of a step down for Chris Benoit because, and Chris Jericho in fact, arguably, but I mean these two are great wrestling buddies together, as Chris Benoit pretty much became champion at the last pay-per-view we reviewed, and Chris Jericho was in a street fight with Triple H, who is going for the championship. So the second fall goes to Chris Jericho, another submission, and these two would have a fantastic feud throughout the next couple of months as well. They were beating each other from pillar to post, 2 out of 3 falls matches, submission matches, and all sorts, and it was really fun. It was a good time for these two in WWE. It was the year 2000. Chris Jericho takes the second fall with, of course, the Walls of Jericho, and the reversal on the roll through pin picks up the win for Chris Benoit, as Chris Jericho is trying to go for another Walls of Jericho. I'll get the words out eventually. But Benoit grabs the ropes. Chris Jericho cannot kick out, and he picks up the win by a surprise reversal roll up and leverage for the pin. 2-1 is the score to Chris Benoit, and he picks up the victory. He goes out. Chris Jericho obviously not very happy. This feud can continue, and it's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Sounding a bit like DDP. That's a good thing. Anyway, I like DDP, he's cool. So the game arrives in the arena, and the first thing he wants to do is question his wife and go and see her and see how she is dealing with things, and find out why she enjoyed the kiss with Kurt Angle. On to the next match, and is one of the most talked about matches in wrestling history. It is tables, ladders and chairs, otherwise known as TLC, and it's for the Tag Team Championship. Edge and Christian versus the Dudley Boys versus the Hardy Boys, with each of their signature weapons in play. The Hardy Boys with the ladders, the Dudley Boys with the tables, get the tables, and the Edge and Christian team, don't know why I did that, Edge and Christian with the chairs, of course, the concerto being one of their tag team moves, and you could actually do this in the games at this point as well, which was really cool. TLC matches were always awesome because it was more arcadey back in 2000. So another crazy start to this one. Obviously there's no rules. Tables, ladders and chairs are legal, as well as everything else that they can find and put their hands on. Crazy start. Each team goes for their signature weapons, like I say, tables for the Dudley Boys, ladders for the Hardy Boys, which usually ends up being their downfall, as well as their uprising, depending on what the match type is, and the chairs for Edge and Christian. So they are stacked high, the tables are stacked high, the ladders are brought into play and used. This match is brutal from start to finish. People falling off ladders, people flying into tables, and concertos bang on the side of people's heads. Christian goes through the table. Matt followed through the table. Matt follows through the double stacked tables as well, and followed by Jeff hitting leg drops. Edge is trapped inside the ladder as he gets closed in on it, and Christian is thrown off the top onto Edge in a splash move where Edge is trapped inside the ladder and Christian lands on top of it. Really nasty looking for both guys. Jeff tries the swanton from the giant tall ladder that's even higher than the camera and misses. Bubba Ray climbs the tall ladder and gets pushed off the ladder and into the table set up on the outside. Edge and Christian then get pushed off into the ropes by Lita, who is with the Hardy Boys at this point in time. Matt goes through the tables on the outside as well. That takes out one of the Hardy Boys, one of the Dudley Boys, and Lita gets speared on the outside and hits her head on the ladder, which is nasty. But big respect to Lita at this point, who was very much in with the lads, and as I understand it, in with quite a few of the lads. Being on the outside looks nasty. Like I say, looks like she hit her head on the ladder. Loved Lita at this point as well, because you know the lads took the tops off. Lita took their top off. She took her top off, and yeah, let's get on with the match. A and C retain the tag team championships by climbing the ladder, pulling down the tag team championships, and claiming themselves as the undisputed tag team champions of the WWF. Really good match. Set the bar so high for future matches of the same type, the TLC match. And like I say, the reason that me and my friends, I even got a 4-bar to play SmackDown 2 Know Your Role, so we could have ladder matches, and that was the main goal of getting a 4-bar and 4 controllers. Ladder matches, people. Brilliant. Yeah, top match, probably the best match on the card at this point. Speaking of the thong stinkface match, we have that next, and Terry's face gets shoved in the butt of the cat, who is also wearing a thong, and she wins the match. Year 2000, people, we get TLC matches, Lita getting involved in that one, and the next match is probably one of the most degrading matches that I've ever seen in women's wrestling. This was not wrestling at all, but the idea of a thong stinkface match just disgusts me, because I mean it wasn't even Rikishi that was in the match. I mean, obviously got so popular that they were just going to use the finisher that Rikishi uses, and it's not even a finisher, it's a warm-up, literally, on your face, because your face is stuck between... yeah, let's carry on. The cat wins. That's all you need to know about that one. The ref gets KO'd by Terry and gets the head from the cat, and Terry's face, cat's butt, boom, cat for the win. Acolytes are at the party in New York again, absent from the pay-per-view, and then we get Kane versus The Undertaker, and now we get real. But this one, it's all Taker. There's hardly any comeback from Kane. Undertaker is just beating the hell literally out of Kane from pillar to post, and described as a straight fight, reminiscent of a Godzilla movie. These two Goliaths just trashing everything, beating each other up, using the stairs. There ain't no referee going to get in between these two, because they are absolute beasts. And you talk about beast mode, look no further than The Undertaker versus Kane from SummerSlam 2000. Kane's hair attached to his head at this point, as The Undertaker wins by taking Kane's mask off, and taking his mask off, apparently two of the best big men in all of WWE, as Kane runs to the back trying to protect his face. He can't see it, he's burned, he's scarred, he's been in a fire that The Undertaker started, apparently. So we move on to the main event now. Before we roll off this video, it is the WWE Championship match. It is The Rock, the current champion, has been flip-flopping between Triple H and The Rock for most of the year, versus Triple H versus Kurt Angle. Of course, the triangle of love there between Kurt Angle, Stephanie McMahon Helmsley, and Hunter Hearst Helmsley, or Triple H as he's known at this point, because he's not posh anymore. He's a bit of a biker, likes to beat people up with a hammer. So Triple H and Angle start the match before The Rock even gets a chance to come down to the ring. Of course, if The Rock doesn't make his entrance, he could still lose the match, because the match is a triple threat without even making his entrance. Work that one out, people. So The Rock turns up and balls. So the main event match is up next. It is the champion, current WWF champion as of the 27th of August 2000, The Rock, versus Triple H versus Kurt Angle, and of course there is that triple threat between Kurt Angle, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon Helmsley. So Triple H and Angle start the match hot and heavy without The Rock even being there. The Rock does finally get down to the ring, and Angle is carted out on a stretcher because Triple H is beating him up. He gets to the back, Stephanie comes out to comfort Kurt and walks him to the back on the stretcher. Triple H has no idea as The Rock is beating his ass, and they beat each other to a pulp as Stephanie pleads with Kurt Angle to go and help her husband, Triple H, who has been beating up Kurt Angle in the ring. Angle comes back out, pedigree, and Angle stops the count and gets the near fall himself, which obviously then miffs off, or pisses off, I'm just going to say it, Triple H. Hammer is in play, Stephanie comes out, she gets involved, Angle goes to use the hammer, and Triple H has swinged and a miss, but hits Stephanie instead. Angle hits Triple H. The Rock takes out Angle with the people's elbow, pins Triple H as he's been taken out by the hammer, and retains the title. Angle then leaves with Stephanie. Obviously, Triple H punched Stephanie by accident. Kurt Angle got out of the way. Really good match, this one, and yeah, worthy of a main event caliber with these three in play, and Stephanie getting involved and things like that. All these things just lead to more things going down the line as we head into Armageddon in December, and it rolls on and on and on. And before that, you've got Survivor Series as well, and a couple more. I think there's another 5 pay-per-views in the year 2000, with the UK pay-per-view as well, known as Rebellion, and that is in December as well. And not a week later, you get Armageddon, the famous 6-person Hell in a Cell match. So that is SummerSlam 2000. It was on the 27th of August 2000, and the year just keeps rolling on. It keeps better, getting better and better and better. Keep rolling on. I have been your host, Luke. You are the Cheap Shot Nation. You are watching Cheap Shot Entertainment. If you like this review, the retro review, and all the other stuff that we do as well, then please consider supporting us by hitting that subscribe button and liking the video. Hopefully, eventually, we will get to go and see some more live wrestling, but at the moment, I know from personal experience, because I volunteer with Aspire as a food bank, that the wrestling side, the physical side of everything, is not going ahead for a long time as yet, because we are first and foremost a community hub. Secondary, we are a wrestling company, and we do things properly. Well, this video feels like it's never been destined to be finished, with the lights going off and then the camera, but the 2000 train goes on and keeps on rolling. So next we've got Unforgiven 2000, 24th of September 2000, at the First Union Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We get No Mercy next, No Mercy 2000, on the 22nd of October 2000 at the Pepsi Arena in Albany, New York. The Survivor Series, of course, the big one of the big 4 at this point in time, 2000. 19th of November 2000 at the Ice Palace in Tampa, Florida. Rebellion that comes to you from Sheffield Arena, an arena I know very well, on the 2nd of December 2000, and then the big one, Armageddon 2000, on the 10th of December 2000 from the Jefferson Civic Center in Birmingham, Alabama. I don't know why I said it like that, but there you go. Like I say, consider subscribing and liking the video if you're liking our retro reviews. I'm going to try and do some collaborations and things in the near future as I get more involved with Aspire, and get some real wrestlers doing these things as well, which would be really cool. So that is it. Consider subscribing, like the video, share us with your friends, that kind of thing. You're the Cheap Shot Nation. I've been your host, Luke, and this is a John Cena t-shirt. Yeah. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye for more retro reviews. Boom. We've done it. We've actually gone and done it, by Jove.
Hiya.